people who are taking their lives to the next level, who are interested in learning and growing. Such an honor, such a pleasure to be in the process of this ongoing uncovering and finding out what else there is. Um, to take your Saturday and spend it on a Zoom box. What is the world coming to? I love it. So, money. Thank you. Thank you for coming for money. I want to tell you a little bit about who I am, what's going on here, who's going to be talking, and what we got going on. First thing, this is being recorded. Some people wanted to see this later. One of those people gets to be you. If you want to watch it later and remember what happened, you can rewatch this. We will make that available for you. Totally doable. If you prefer to keep your camera off because it's being recorded, totally fine. If you prefer not to have your name mentioned during any questioning or anything like that, you can drop questions in the chat. You can drop questions in a DM to me, and I'll be like fielding and answering and asking questions with the panel. Second thing, like, how did this start? What is this? Who are these people? What's going on? My name is Aaron Mandelbaum, and I co-created in a group and a program with Layla Lee. It's called Marketing for Conscious Creators. My background is I have an MBA in business strategy. I've been working in business marketing, digital brand management, e-commerce, SEO, email marketing, all types of digital things, and helping businesses have their mission and vision accurately transformed into their digital presence. A lot of what I said I did for years was digitizing analog executives. And I was getting a lot of questions about how to start marketing my passion in my program and my course. And I want to take this passion out of a hobby into a business. And instead of re-answering the same basic questions all the time, I created an online marketing class. And in the last few years, Layla and I have been rewriting it from the ground up. We're just about to launch the first phase of that as Marketing for Conscious Creators. I'm based in New York usually. I'm in Berlin today. I'm a facilitator for ISTA, for Liberation, for Voyage into Presence, and I run my own group, Dark Star Temple, who creates rituals and temples and experiences and transformational experiences all over the world. That's a little bit about who I am. I'd love Layla to introduce herself, and then we'll introduce our three amazing panelists who will be sharing questions and answering questions and ideas and inspiration for the next hour. So Layla, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. So this is Layla Lee. I'm the co-creator with Aaron for the Marketing for Conscious Creators project, and also, those kind of panels and discussions and conversations that we have about money and such. It's in a way I have a similar background with Aaron. I guess that's how we met, and that we could recognize each other there. So I've also got my feet into different worlds. I love traveling in between spaces with my body. So I have more than 10 years of experience in marketing, digital marketing. And on the other side, I'm also artist for life. And I actually don't see that much difference on the both worlds, because we're just trying to make ourselves sing and to share our gifts to help people spread the goodness to this world. Yes, I think that's where I'm standing at. And I'm based in Amsterdam, and I travel around the world, wherever life takes me to. So very looking forward to journeying with you today. Thank you.
Amazing. Just because they're next in line on my screen, let's go to the first of our panel, or the first, well, I guess let talk. Dane.
Hi, everybody. My name's Dane Thomas. I would describe myself as an artist, an occultist, and a serial entrepreneur. I've had a bunch of different businesses in sort of spiritual and personal development spaces. The most well-known one was called The Spiral. It was a healing modality that I created that I sold a couple of years ago. I think I've probably done about $6 million of sales in the last 8 or 9 years of my own kooky creations. Which, some of them are really kooky. Written 8 books, put out a tantric rap EP, and generally have done this while traveling the world, having a good time, doing sexy magic in forests and having adventures and stuff. So I I think I'm a kind of testament of like you can do it on your own terms. That's kind of the vibe that I like to teach. And I took a year-long hiatus and I've just come back to Australia, bought a house and landing a temple called Mystery Road Temple. And we'll be doing a mixture of creative stuff, magic stuff, money and wealth stuff here. And yeah, it's a brand new project that I'm just starting. Excuse me, losing my voice. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here. Tulin, give us a
Hey
little.
guys. So I am a long-time stock market investor, and I started as a teenager, a broke immigrant teenager in New York City. And now I'm a single mom widow. And as early as 2021, had maybe $11 in my bank account and caring for three children. But for the entirety of my investing career, I've created over 8 figures in investing profits and have been over 6 years on the shamanic path, apprenticing. So blending, the spirituality and, real world physical resources is a specialty of mine.
Yay! So excited to have you. Yeah. And Cameron.
It's myself, yeah. Hi everybody, this is Cameron. I came to Europe like 30 years ago as a refugee, and since then I started to making a life that everybody was like, wow, how does it happen? So I live in Ibiza and I bought a house and have a little family. And yeah, a few years ago, when I was living as a hippie, working in the festivals, doing different things, people started to asking me, "Hey, you're making a lot of money. How is that possible?" And I started to tell people, but it was a little bit overwhelming. So I created a course and wrote a book about how to live this life that you can be just aligned with this universe, and the universe delivers everything to your house if you're just feeling that alignment. And yeah, and I've been helping people and supporting them to find their own way and finding their own shadows and creating different paths, but to the same direction. And yeah, I took a little bit of a break the last 2 years, and I'm coming back. And this is one of the first panels that I'm joining again. Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. So glad. I want to jump into a couple quick logistic things that'll answer some questions, hopefully, before we start. We will end with we're here till the start of the next hour, depending on where wherever your time zone is when the next clock strike happens. We will be ending with giving you information on how to follow and find more information about all the panelists. And they have your email addresses. There's some free gifts maybe coming, so check your email for some of that information. We'll be telling you a little bit more about the Marketing for Conscious Creators course. All that stuff is findable. We want to use this time to be together and do this. For questions, we love questions. Post anything that we've got a few that we want to start with, but we'd love to hear your questions. You can put them in the chat. You can raise your hand. You can send me a DM. You can send Layla a DM. That's totally doable. You can say who it's for or if it's for everybody, all that. Yeah. And of all the people who I know here, we have some really amazing entrepreneurs and creators and manifestors and people living their passion and creating some amazing things in the world that just didn't exist before they were here. So I'm so grateful to have this representation with us. So let's dive in. Maybe a simple, maybe a deceptively difficult, confusing, too esoteric question. how do you define money? Tulin, what is money for you?
Yeah, so this is actually what I teach my kids is that money is just a tool to expand their influence and to help them achieve their desires. And so because they're all teenagers now, sometimes their desires is like a new video game or a brand new jacket or something, and money is like a tool to like make that happen. So we talk a lot about value also. Um, yeah, that they are giving something that the other side values so they can get something that they value.
I love that those can be separate. There's money and then there's value.
Yeah.
Without getting into international, like um, exchange rates and arbitrage. Right?
Yeah,
Money
and
can.
so that's actually a very easy way for me to say no to something, because I will always pay for something if I think the value is there. So if they want something like the daughters, I have twin girls, they ask for Gucci sneakers. And I said, if you can get it yourself, that's fine. But I don't see the value of you guys having Gucci sneakers, and it's not anything that they can really argue with. And if they were able to kind of change my mind about it, then I would see the value.
Yeah.
So we just got a message actually from Jose saying that I have abundance in nearly everything in life, but I don't think I have anything of value to give after listening to Tulane. I think it's such a good point. It's like this association with the physicals and also the spirit, right? So wow, so it's so much attached to the gifts, to what's really you there as the value to this world. Yeah, so it's a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Yeah, the separation of having versus the what it can provide, right? Cameron, how about you? What is how do you define money, or what is money for you?
Well, it's a beautiful question because it's the mother of all questions about money. I always look at the history of money, where the money comes from. So I see money as a fruit, as an apple, or as an orange, because that was the start beginning of the money. Farmers were farming and they had sheep or fruit, or they would bring it to the market and they want to sell it. And it was really difficult to give somebody apple, get the orange, bring the orange to the meat man, get the meat, bring the meat to the bread man, get the bread, and you could just go and buy the bread if you had the money. So they changed that fruit thing to the money. So some sort of value that you have for the fruit that you're selling, and you get 1 coin or 2 coin, you would get gold or silver or whatever. And so basically every money that we are having is some sort of effort we put in it. It can be spiritually or physically that we put that effort. And today we value ourselves differently. Some people value themselves 15 euros an hour, $15 an hour. Some people value themselves $250 an hour. And it depends like how much study you did or what you have done, or I don't know if Apple is more valuable or to being a doctor and all of that. But what I just think that is different between money and value, as Tolene said, is like we might have money for everything, but we don't think like we can have that. And that's why that you don't buy that sneakers or that you don't buy that house, because it's not a blockage. It's kind of like a following what is your inner desire is, following what you really want. It's in many different way you can look at it, in a sexual way, in the money way, and yeah, that's how I see it. I don't know if I could wrap up something for you guys.
That's great. Yeah, it's tough to put a bow on, right?
Mm.
I saw Cherity's question. I want to dive into that after I give Dan a chance. I'd love to hear your take on what is money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the kind of muggle take that we all already have touched on, which is money is a means to measure the exchange of value between two entities, and that I think we all kind of know that on some level. But if you look at it deeper, I think what I think of money as is the money is an agreement. It's a social agreement, and on this kind of spiritual journey, people can be like, I didn't choose to come here. I didn't choose to come to this planet. It's like, if you chose to come here, you choose to deal with money, because that's one of the things in action on this planet in this time period, you know? And most of you guys are from the States. I'm from Australia. In these kind of frontier kind of exploration times, money wasn't really worth a lot. But like a roll of tobacco or rifles, you know, when they set up Australia, rum was the currency that they could trust. Whereas like if we send sort of pounds and shillings over there, it doesn't mean shit to these kind of wild convicts. But if we roll up with barrels of rum, we can pay people to build things. And so essentially, to me, money is an agreement. And you know, if I want to increase my capacity to say make more money per month as a sort of small business person, I need to be able to like hold more agreements in my field. You know, like I need to, okay, I have 100 new clients. I can hold the responsibility that I've promised 100 things. Whereas back in the day, I would only have been able to hold 10, and then I would kind of freak out of like, oh my God, I've got 10 clients. Whereas now it's like through systems, through confidence, it's like, okay, we can work with 200 people. Like, so essentially the way I see it is, it's just how much trust and how many agreements can we stack. That sort of is a lot to do with what ends up happening in terms of one of these esoteric books that I read says that he said that like money is like the trail left behind by intelligent action. And I was like, that's such a quirky definition, but it makes a lot of sense, right? It's like, and I can see like I just spent 4 months traveling Europe, very first class and very bougie. I did a lot of unintelligent action. If you look at the trail, it's like, okay, you spent a lot, and okay, you spent even more. And it's like when I come back and I get my life in order, you know, and I'm selling and marketing and creating content and offering value to the world, you can see like the intelligent action starts to stack up month by month. So yeah, I really see it through this lens of it's a collection of agreements that we're working with.
Yes, much resonate to it. Also, to just add to my own personal experience, every time when I feel like I'm actually putting my heart, my efforts into something, and I'm in the flow, money just comes. Of course, there's like a longer lens to see. There's like timeline to see how patient I am. Also, that's another factor. But it's such for me like an indicator of my own responsibility for myself and how much heart and love I'm actually putting into the work. So
Yeah, I love it that this mention of flow too, because for me, money always comes back to currency, and in all the different versions of like picturing a river flowing, like the current moving, and that it's similar to what everybody's saying. Like I take that I trade the apple for this because I need this, and I have some left over which I trade for this, and it's flowing and it's moving to where it needs to go. Um, and one of the things that shifted for me with money was getting like aligning with that current in a healthy and authentic and a way with integrity that was not from the story of my past, that was like your success is you know, the money you have is going to tell you how successful you are, and if you don't have money, you're not successful. And that didn't help me find the alignment. So this is a good segue to the question I wrote, which I think might also help with the question that Chelsea wrote. My version was, what are some of the common limiting beliefs that people don't know they have about money? And because you three have all worked with people in different ways with money, so like, what are some of the things that float to the top that they didn't realize? So I'm sure a lot of people say, I know I have this problem with money, but what are the ones they didn't realize they have? And then to flow into this question about generational scarcity, and are those connected? Whoever wants to jump in first.
Well, I can put my thoughts on it. So the way that I look at it actually is cultural. So what I look at it like, because I lived in different countries, I see different people have a different opinion on money. And basically like bunch of people in different country have a different opinion. So what is happening is we all watch TV as kids. We all go to schools as kids. We all have a family as kids. And they all gonna tell us what money is. It's not like a money gonna come and tell us, hey, friend, I'm your money and I'm your friend and this is what I do. But it's basically like my mother gonna tell me what is it, and if she has a scarcity problem, I'm gonna have that as well. And if my neighbor also has a scarcity problem, I'm gonna have that as well. And if my TV shows that all the rich people are assholes, I'm gonna think all the rich people are assholes. Whatever that it comes, it's like I see it as a really basic blockage that everybody has is what we learned what money is, because we didn't learn about things. One of the things that we didn't learn much about it is sexuality, is money, is about dancing, and everything was like, oh, this or that. So I grew up in Iran, and I don't know how much you know about Iran, but Iran has a lot of problem. But we do not have a problem with money because we do have a lot of money in Iran. That's something that people outside of Iran think, that Iranian have a lot of problem. But Iranian are really generous and everybody giving the money. But I was born in a war, which means like there was huge scarcity. And that scarcity actually stayed with me. When I was 18, I was working in a company that I was earning at a time around 5 grand $1,000 at a time when I was 18. And normally people earn around like 300, 400. But this is big example for me because I was earning 5 grand a month and I had nothing every single month. At the end of the month, I was owing people around $500 every single month. And my uncle was earning around $300, $400 a month. And he had a family and they could live together. And I look at this and I was like, I just don't understand what is happening. And I started to go to the courses and everything to understand about money. And that shifted all my life. That actually shifted all my life because of that little understanding. But my personal problem was that I was born in war. And because of that scarcity, that during that war was kind of like with my life coming together, I couldn't imagine that money can support me. That is the way that I see it. But there is different ways of looking at it actually. I'm actually quite curious to see what others think and say.
I can go off there. So one of the first times I smoked DMT, I shot all the way through and I met the aliens, right? Like I met the praying mantis people on the other side. And it was like, I'm in this kind of jeweled chamber of infinite knowledge. And they're kind of like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, tell me about money. I want to know about money, you know? And they kind of laughed at me in their kind of insect way. And then it was like, you humans and money, you don't get it. Like you treat this thing like it's a cause and it's an effect, you know? And this was this piece that I came back with was like, where we're chasing the thing that is the outcome, it's not the cause, you know? And I was like, well, what's the cause? And it's like the cause is power, and not political power, but like creative power, like the power to create something will then bring money. But I think, you know, I did a lot of years of coaching people around money limiting beliefs. And I reckon there's 12 to 20 main ones that are the same fucking things, just configured differently of, you know, I've got to work hard for money. There isn't enough. If I get X amount, I'm going to lose it. People will betray me. If I become rich, I'll become an asshole. You know, there's various ones. But essentially, I think they all come down to treating money as though it's the God over you. It's the causal factor, when actually it's just a side effect of behavior. And, you know, I think there's a stage of you know, I've got to work on my money blocks, got to work on my money blocks. And there's a certain stage where you just fucking reach through past that and stop treating money as though it's so real and important, and cut straight to the like, you know, if I didn't even think about money and I just decide I'm going to serve as many people as I can and I'm going to be rewarded for it, now my money blocks are not having such a big role to play in the thing. Whereas if I'm like, I'll never be able to earn over $60,000 because my father was working class, and it's like that shit goes forever, you know. Like you can get rid of those, and then there's another layer and another layer, and it's like, yeah, for me, there's something in just because I went through this stage of like, okay, I've got bad money beliefs. And then I kind of do my life coachy conscious capitalist thing. And I'm like, okay, money is so wonderful. It's so great. And all this kind of bullshit. And it's like, that kind of worked for a while. And then I was like, eventually I was like, hang on a minute. It doesn't have anything. It has no opinion. It has no like this is just me dealing with me, and I've had to kind of trick myself that it's so wonderful because before I thought it was so bad, but actually it's not even real. Like it's a constructed idea. It's like we've got flags and people kill each other over them, and like, do you realize that's just stars and things that someone, it's not anything. And so for me, the sooner I got straight through to reaching into like what is the real thing, what is the actual thing I'm trying to do here, what am I creating, and not worrying about, yeah, but I can't because I would need $10,000 to do this. It's like, fuck that. What's the objective? And just start to pull the objective through, the less power money has had in my life. So I think, yeah, the limiting belief people don't know they have is they think that money is the cause, right? Like you hear, if only I won the lotto, then me and my family would fucking have a better life. If only I could earn 100,000, then that would be like enough. And it's like, it's bullshit. Like the money is a side effect. It's not the causal factor. I think that's the limiting belief that think is one of the biggest ones to get out of the way.
I love that. That's I think so. An old version of that is like the old paradigm is, if I have this, then I can do this, and then I'll finally be this certain way. Right? If I have the money, I can go on vacation, then I'll be happy.
Right.
Versus new paradigm of like, be like authentic, be the one creating the gifts in the world, and like, what do I have? Like, and then I'm doing things aligned with someone who is that, and then
Yeah.
what having will show up.
And
Because
it's amazing how when we do take that leap, it kind of creates this vacuum and things get pulled into, the number of times I committed to something that I could not afford. And then a month later, it's like, we figured it out. How did that happen? It's like, I don't know. We just jumped in and kids, we're going on holiday. And it's like, fuck, okay, I better figure out how we're paying for this, but we're doing it, like it works.
yeah, and it's so the interesting segue that I noticed for myself too is it related to this generational thing is like, in terms of like the being, like who I was around money, I realized was who my father was around money, not who I am around money. And when I realized that this is his story and his conversation and his trauma from his father, then I could say, wait, no, what actually is money for me? Like, he worked and worked and worked, and he had some money because of it. And in my mind, I was like, this money is not worth it because I'd rather have the time with him. So I just rejected and ran away from money, and it was not important to me. And what I realized was like, that was him dealing with his family, and that's what he needed to do to have his connection with his dad. When I really showed my father that I'm happy, and then the money's showing up because I'm doing what makes me happy, not what he thinks I need to do to make more money. Now he sees me as happy, and I'm teaching him some things, and I'm cutting some of those ties to some of that historic stuff.
It's so
Uh,
good to hear because I also I resonate to this both from the generational perspective, also from this paradigm shift. I feel like it goes through all the aspects of life, like money. That's possibly why we're having this topic, but it's not just about money. And you can say about marketing, we're not just going out to reach people for a goal to achieve something so that we can look into our gifts and what we're actually doing, but it's like the other way around, right? I think, yeah, and we're touching such like a core piece, like what's your heart, what's your power, and then from that place and things flow and things come. Yeah, beautifully said.
Yeah, the shamans have a perspective called Aini, which is right relationship. And if you guys know of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's like two probably very good men with very different relationships to money. And I just love the divine in like her infinite wisdom created this thing that is so charged and is tied to all aspects of our life, and it touches all aspects of our life so that we can do like what Layla was saying, like look into ourselves and find like, the self mastery to, either get our gifts out there through learning ad copy or marketing or looking at generational trauma and things like that that we might not have unless, if not for this very strong desire of getting more money. Oh, I think I'm frozen.
Yeah, we can hear you
I
great
hope I'm
though.
not.
Coming in.
I
I
don't know.
want to add, sorry,
Yeah,
you go.
no, my internet was like a little bit spotty for a second, but I hope you heard everything.
We did.
On the healing the intergenerational trauma piece, I think there's two parts that I know there, and one of them is repatterning the nervous system, as like physiologically and neurologically shedding trauma and ingrained patterns has got to be one half. And I think the other is finding new references, like if I've come from a lineage of poverty, which, if you trace it back, almost all of us did, unless you came from some lords or dukes or whatever, this tiny percentage of people, most of the lineages that we have go back to poor people somewhere, right? Um, that, if people in my past didn't have the references to create what I want to create, I'm going to have to install that information from somewhere else. I've come from Northern English working class background of quite poor grandparents, great grandparents, etc., working in kind of factories and mills and whatnot. And like when I kind of started going on my entrepreneurial journey, and I started with the rich dad, poor dad kind of stuff in my mid-20s, and like lay it on top, and it was like, oh, these guys are talking about shit that I've never in my life heard it said. An asset puts money in your pocket and a liability takes it out. And it was like, this is just changing my fucking brain just for being exposed to different language, different models. And I think that's the piece that, if we know we've come from not great conditioning around money and wounding around money, it's our responsibility. And like you were saying, Julian, like we lucky we live in this world where there is so much available, where it's like, okay, if I want, I can seek out information about investing, information about how the economy works, information about wealth mindset, and it's like it's all there in the fucking local library for free, basically. But it's like so few people, and I guess when we're conditioned to be thinking a certain way, that's the tricky part, right? Like you don't, if you grow up poor, you don't grow up thinking, hey, I could just learn how to be rich. Like that's not really in the narrative, but the secret is you can go and repattern how you see the world. And I think that's a big chunk of healing that intergenerational poverty is reconditioning the mind and teaching it with different language, financial literacy, wealth creation ideas, and so forth.
Yeah, I feel like there's such a layer of also the compassion in it. It's like we, yeah, in a way, we're privileged enough to be sitting here and talking about money. And there are also people who might not have that chance. There's like a deconditioning process. We've done the training, so we're on it, but there are also other people who might never be exposed in their entire life. And I'm just curious, how do you guys feel about this in the collective sense about money?
Yeah, I don't want to just dominate the conversation. I got plenty to say. I mean, I feel awful when I'm traveling the world and I'm getting, I'm realizing like, oh, this person is potentially stuck in this socioeconomic layer for the rest of their life, as are their kids, as are their kids. It's like that doesn't feel fair to me, and um, I think it speaks to, if when we do obtain wealth, there is a responsibility to find ways to do something with that maybe unlocks more opportunities for other people. And I think, you know I I've worked really hard to create a mindset that is both kind of pro wealth creation, but also to not completely ignore the massive inequality that the entire global system is built. It's like a really tricky thing of like, I don't want to go too far into that because it's hard to then build my own abundance. But if I don't want to go too far into this and get divorced from the fact that like the playing field is not level, many layers of systems and structures are set up against everyone really, but increasingly aggressively as you go down the layers. And it's like the system is a fucking mess, like it's really not a great, we're really, even though in some ways as a planet we're better off, globally in some ways of looking at it, and in other ways it's like, fuck, this is, there are people in fucked up situations in the many, many millions, and it's like, well, are we really doing so great if that's the case? Like, there's a lot of paradoxes for me in the world of wealth and money.
Yeah, almost like the scarcity mindset of some is causing scarcity for others.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see it as a beautiful web of interconnectedness, like with the saint and the sinner. And some people might not have so I come at it from the idea that, nothing is ever wrong, that, the divine creates. And so without maybe extreme poverty, some people might not feel sort of like that level of compassion that galvanizes them to bring their gifts out and or right. And so that's kind of like how I see it. And that like without like the murderer, we don't have like the hero or the person that will then becomes the hero because, their heart was like so moved by what they saw that they were then galvanized into action to make a change and then therefore be able to bring their gifts into the world.
Yeah, so polarities are popping up left and right, but also people are stepping out of victim into conscious creator and saying, I'm going to do something.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. If you want to create, the best way to create a better future is to make it, right?
Yeah. Cameron, anything to add to this?
Well, I would like to actually say, like, I am really thumbs up with what Dane said about paradigm shifting our mindset about money and changing that. We create everything to be shifted from that space. And it might take a long time, but it might take just a split of second. And when it changes, it's just a split of second. You might work on it 10 years, but when it changes, you feel it. It's changed. Everything has changed because everything is just coming in and you don't know how to get it. Like I started to get like 500% of my goals and I didn't know what to do. But on the other hand, we say like, okay, there is people that they are not getting that. What we gonna do for them? Basically, we do have access around us to do something for the people around us. But I cannot go to Philippines and in the same time go to Australia and in the same time go to the Kenya and help everybody to change. But there are people around me that I can support them to change. And it's like a planting the seeds. Like we see, like the planet is going in a way that the plastic was all around the ocean. Everybody started realizing it. People started to stop to throwing the plastic as much as it was before in the ocean because there are still people doing it. And then the money is great because people talking about it. Like 50 years ago, it was a taboo. Nobody was talking about it. Today, there are books about it. There are like seminars about it. Everybody talking about it. So these seeds are planted. There are movies that you can just watch, like Secret and all those kind of movies that you can watch and start to think and feel like, okay, I want to shift something. And it's daily practices when you want to shift that energy because people think I need to get more money. I would say you need to find a way that you think differently about it. People think I need to have more love. I think like you need to find a way to think differently about it. People say, hey, I want to have more sex. I'm like, yeah, you have to think differently about it because obviously what you're doing is not working. Because if it would work, then you would not be here. But if it's not working, just stop, take a deep breath, and listen to others that they are saying it actually works for me, and see how you can make from it. And One of the things that I was thinking about while we were talking about all these blockages, one thing that I personally notice in the world today is competition. And competition, like everybody becomes so competitive to earn more money, and then people feel bad to earn more money, because if I earn more money, my sister cannot earn more, because life is competition. So I rather have earn less money so my sister can earn more money. But it is not competition. It's actually different. It's co-creation. It's not limited sources. Like, money today is not cash. It's paper money. It doesn't mean anything. In your bank account, there is no cash. In your bank account is just number. And what is the last number? Is infinite. There is no last number. It's infinite. When there is no last number, when it's infinite, there is no limitation to think about it. And if we start to understand there is no limitation, then we start to understand there is no competition. And if we start to understand there is no competition, I start to feel more relaxed with earning more money.
Yeah, that's huge. A couple of things you said there, like there's some people who are sharing by spreading the actual money around, and there's some who are sharing by creating opportunity for people to create their own money, right? So there's someone like Muhammad Yunus, who I recommend his book. He created microfinancing essentially in lots of different parts of the world where people just needed $5 and where they could pay back over time, and community funded banks and things like that were a huge help. But it wasn't giving them fish per se, it was giving them access to a system of fishing where they could use, not just like, eat this fish and be fine, but like, here's some money in a way that's accessible where they can create some ongoing help for themselves. The other group that comes to mind is something like the Hunger Project, where their aim is more hunger instead of money, but they realize that yes, we have enough food to feed the world, but what actually helps on a tribal local level to get people fed is getting women on political and local government positions. So their whole program is getting women into government and making decisions and getting into higher levels of power. That's what got people fed. It wasn't just giving you, like, it wasn't here's a bunch of food. So I love, love this. And to further this, to go a little bit deeper into some of the realms that a lot of the people on this call can actually handle in our last couple of minutes, I'd love to hear from you. What are some powerful rituals that people can do for money? What are some daily practices people can do to shift their understanding, awareness, shift their relationship with money? Or anything from like one of the requests, like sex magic, ritual, shamanic, like other realms that we can pull in that can shift how we understand and work with and how money occurs for us so that we can comport ourselves towards it differently and have it have a comfortable, cozy, abundant place in our lives.
Yeah, and also to add that I feel there's a sense of also attraction, right? Lots of attraction in the universe. I think that can also be applied to money. And how can we naturally, genuinely attract money through our gifts and power as well in daily sense?
I think what's been really helpful with some of the people that I mentor, and they're all really big-hearted people, like everybody on the call. They want to make a change in the world. They want to make a positive change. They're very hurt by what they see in the world and kind of their direction that we're headed at. And I think what's really important is that this is a very tactical thing, that you actually look for signs that the world is as abundant as it truly is. Like, for example, I had a woman mentee who was very afraid about not enough clean water in the world. And that could be true. That could also not be true. And I challenged her as a 50-year-old woman that lives in LA. How does she know for like a fact that there's not going to be enough clean water in the world by 2030 or something like that? Because it's really insidious that if you kind of dwell on dwindling resources, of which, money is one, then it will, I believe, like subconsciously get into your brain that, like what Cameron was saying, that, not everybody can have as much money or as much resources as they want. So that's the first thing I would say, is to look for evidence that the world is as abundant as, we all say it is, or we all hope that it will be. So like good news and, stuff like that, entrepreneurs, changing the world and, helping to diversify resources. So that's the first thing that I would say. And I don't remember the question, Aaron.
Any types of rituals or daily
Oh
practices?
yeah. And so what I do is I also say I will connect with Mercury, or Hermes, who is like the god of trade, and also communication. And ask I will ask him for his help to write, what I need to write or say to inspire um, whoever I want to reach. And the other thing is that I really think it's important to look at your money every day, like your bank accounts, whatever accounts where money is coming in or it's going out. Because, and this is, coming from a refugee teenager in New York City, that what gets measured gets managed. And usually what gets managed improves. So, just that very simple thing and when you start to do it, you're going to feel a lot of thematic stuff because maybe you have $11 or whatever. And then, you'll work through that. But I recommend doing it every single day.
Yeah, I'll go off the back of that. That's one of mine as well. Like the first thing I do when I realize things are slipping or whatever is go back to my daily tracking, my little spreadsheet, my little net worth tracker, my monthly income tracker, and just get really clear on that. A thing that I've taught myself that has worked incredibly well is like to be able to hold the amount of money I'm making, say for the month, in my mind, regardless of what's going on. So, I just restarted in business after a year off. So I'm kind of starting from scratch. And it was like I was traveling, doing all this stuff, and I had like 25 grand this month, 25K. And I just pictured me typing in the numbers in my spreadsheet. And we're doing zero sales this month. There's nothing doing. Literally the last 2 days, I've just slid across from like 0 to like 12 to like 18,000 to like 25. I'm like, oh, it's just happened. And like, if I would have been like realistic mid-month, it would have been like, look, it's time to drop that and make a more realistic target because it's not going to happen. But what I practice magically is just holding the outcome regardless of whether it looks realistic or not, regardless of limiting beliefs, fears, just holding this is the outcome, this is the outcome, this is the outcome. And the number of times that has come through for me in the last day, the last few days of the month, whatever, is incredible. And then it just becomes the matter of, well, let's just do 35, let's do 40, and just creeping those numbers. Um, there's a sex magic question. I use sex magic a lot in conjunction with my wealth building. But what I found is I'm less trying to manifest a number when I'm doing like sex magic through self pleasure or whatever. And what I'm more trying to do is just raise my vibrational state into like heart openness, gratitude, bliss, etc. And so when I then go back and do my normal world business stuff, I'm looking at the numbers from a very expanded place. Like I'm not in contraction. I mean, like everything's possible. I feel amazing. And I would say one last one is, I think that actually anal work and anal de-armoring is probably the single most important repatterning to do for a physical body to change the relationship to money and wealth. And I'll just go into why just briefly. Um, One, we're repatterning like vagus nerve survival patterning, like when we open and relax the anus, that is literally where we hold the tight ass, as we would say in Australia. I don't know about in the States. It's the closing off of I don't have enough. It's the squeezing, it's the in sort of looking at the root chakra tantrically, that is the Muladhara is the root, the nourishing root from which we draw in sustenance and support. So if that is closed, we're not really drawing in sustenance and support. So the way I look at it is this base work is really the key to walking around on the earth with this sense of I am connected, I'm supported, I am open, and money gets a lot easier to deal with when you don't have a tight ass, when you're not in like survival patterning all the time. So it sounds a little out there, but for me, anal de-armoring work, relaxing the base is like the ultimate thing. Combined with getting the numbers and making money and selling and marketing and all that sort of shit, obviously, like.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up first with Tolin because what she was saying was really spot on about reprogramming how we see the universe, how we see the earth, and what is happening. So, really simple example: trees. Trees give fruits. Do you know a tree that give a fruit this year and say, oh, "Okay, I give enough fruit this year, and next year I'm gonna give half"? Or do we know? I don't know how much we are connected with the trees and planting and farming. I live in a farmhouse in Ibiza, so I see all my trees and I see like what's happening. So what I want to actually say, there is infinite amount of fruits and goods are coming from the earth because earth doesn't have any limit. And we are also part of the earth. And we do not have a limit. The only limit that is there is you. Because you start to think this and that. And if you start to believing in something, it's gonna happen. But what is happening is like you start to believing in something and say, okay, I'm gonna have this, think about it, write your goals, be positive, do all the things that is happening. And then when everything is starting moving, then you put the resistance and you say, maybe it's not gonna happen. And that resistance is like everything is growing and it just goes back down. And what I normally say to people, I say, hey, listen, if you imagine that you are in middle of Europe, somewhere in Croatia, and you want to go to Finland, and everybody tell you like you have to go up, or you go to the north and you get to the Finland, and you say, oh, actually, I know because Earth is around, so I can go from the other way. And it's something that you start to realizing that if something works, you don't have to change it. You don't have to make a new will because there is will existing and find who is doing it. And if somebody is doing it, just follow them. And it's gonna work. It's gonna work. As simple as that. And when we think about shamanic stuff, what to do, sex magic, spot on, is too advanced for people who are really having a lot of problem with the money already. Let's work on a different spot and think about what is happening. Then you can move towards that. It's forgiveness. There's a lot of works that you can do to get to the sex magic because the doubt is there. So you're gonna manifest, you're gonna say this and that, and then you say, maybe it's not working, and everything gonna come down. I actually really appreciate what Daniel brought up about anal. Is a spot on. It's really like somatic. It works perfectly, and it moves things. But actually, what needs to happen is like a lot of reprogramming because it moves things. But then you have to be spot on and working on things. And if you are not, you're gonna go back. And then next month you do another one. You feel like, oh, I'm on. I'm going, and then you're coming back. So what needs to happen is a lot of rituals, learning about. What is your story about money? How are you gonna change it? But what you do every day, whatever you do, and this is not working, just change it. From tomorrow morning, you wake up, do something else because what you're doing today is not working. What I did starting was gratitude. What I did with the starting was gratitude. Every single morning, I woke up, played some nice music, write 5 to 10 minute gratitude, things that I'm really grateful for in life. Can be really simple things like my daughter, like my mobile phone, like the amount of money I have, whatever it is. Starting with the really simple things. And I was like, okay, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And so what it does, gratitude, it shifted your energy already, like boom. So you are in a different frequency. And then is the moment that you can ask for what you want. This is exactly like all the religions did. I don't believe in religion, but they have good rituals. So they do the gratitude and then they ask God, God, give me this and give me that. And that's exactly you can do, and it will work. It's really simple. It will really work.
I like that quote. I don't believe in religion, but they have good rituals. That's a good t-shirt. I like that. Um, well, we're coming up on time. I wanted to I want to take this last question that came in because I feel like we touched on it a little bit. And what I love to offer is that we can get some answers from the panel on our internal chat and post it to the Marketing for Conscious Creators page, because I think it's really well aligned with the conversations that we want to have there as well. Specifically, some tools and techniques to reform our relationship with money, in addition to the esoteric and metaphysical, and on earning in conscious spaces with the resistance or guilt to charging for spiritual work and things like that. Something that touches on that I got out of this conversation in summary is that, like, if there's how we do something is how we do everything, right? There's this element of, if there's a hiccup in some conversation, or there's some story about money one place, it's going to infect a lot of the different iterations and how money shows its face. And all these different stories and conversations and questions about how money shows up, I feel like what we're talking about here is dealing with the root cause of where it sits within all of who we are, so that it can shine through in all these frequencies or iterations, with that clarity from inside. And what I'm hearing a lot is, in terms of going forward as a practical thing, is like noticing the story, noticing the conversation. Like, is this my story about money? Is this, like, where did this come from? Is this my religion? Is this my culture? Is this from advertising? Who's telling me I need to have this or own this or buy this? Like, where's that coming from? And noticing is the first step to deciding, to recognizing that there's a choice of multiple paths to take instead of going the same way that we've been going.
And my favorite sentence for that, sorry, Eric, just to add in, is that I still remember it, from the victims to the conscious creators. I just love it so much. I think it just says so much about this transition also, to start creating. Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to say you will get some emails from this wonderful panel. Cameron has offered to send a copy of his book, if there's with an exchange for the shipping costs, so that nets out. But he's willing to send that out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone else is doing so many different workshops and courses. You want to give a 1-minute plug of what people have coming on next and the best way to find you?
And I'm thinking and suggesting, to close this together, I would like to invite each of us, the speakers and all of us included, to just say one sentence, one line you want to share, anything you want to bring out to this world as your summary for today. So yeah, feel free to go ahead first.
So I am probably teaching for the last time live my Pillars of Investing course. I developed my own investing framework called Intuitive Investing, and it's going to be for all kinds of investing, but I really like the stock market because it's really accessible and you can get started with as low as like $5. And a lot of my students have gotten like, 10,000% gains and stuff like that. And they've never invested in the stock market before. So it's kind of like a course where I put, instead of like beer goggles where everybody looks good when you've drunken too much, I put like money goggles on you. So it's like a new way of looking at the world and kind of like what society values and things like that. So I will be running that again in a couple of weeks. And you can find me on Instagram at Tulin. My name, Tulin, is building.
Thank you.
Love that. I'm about to launch another round of my mastermind mentoring program, which is called Permission. So over 5 weeks, we go through multiple areas: money, self-expression, power, sexuality, etc., and just unlock more permission to step into what the next level of the thing that they want is, which is usually about money, impact, etc. I've got a free sex magic course online, and I am about to launch a ongoing ritual magic membership called The Field. And The Field is a mixture, again, of sex magic, void meditations, and a bunch of other teachings as well. So I've got a few things on the whatever the word is, in the oven. And you can find me on Instagram as well, at Dane.Thomas is my at. So that's an easy place to find me. And I talk about all the things. And I just dropped a new single called Magic is Real. I just put it out yesterday. I haven't even promoted it yet, but it's
All right, everybody. I call myself expert to transform your money mindset. That's the way that I work with people. I have not worked for the last 2 years because I have a newborn, and I took more than a year off to just have a focus to be with my new one. And she's slowly going to kindergarten, which makes life to have a few hours a day. And what I'm offering, everybody who is in this call can get a free copy of mine. And you just we will find out how much is shipping. You just pay for the shipping. I have my own website that you can look at it. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Besides that, if you ever wanted to work with me, you can message me, and we will have a discussion, because I actually don't work with everybody. I just need to know, like, if it works, because through my experience, some people cannot work, and I don't do that. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Ah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And really excited for everyone who showed up live. Really excited for everyone who registered, who will get to see this later. And I'm sure more questions will be coming in. We're posting all sorts of different things on Marketing for Conscious Creators Facebook group. We have a shameless self-promotion every Saturday. Just post links to whatever you want so people can find out about it. Every Wednesday we have a post for what's great marketing wisdom you've gotten and things like that. And Layla and I are both just dropping all sorts of, anytime you have a question about marketing, we're giving tons of advice and answers and things like that. And that course will be available soon. And we both do all sorts of our own things, coaching, mentoring, facilitating, magic galore.
Yeah, and we would love to keep co-creating things like this and to facilitate conversations around money, marketing, or anything that really, really matters. So stay tuned.
Thank
This
you,
was
everybody.
really fun, Aaron.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank
so
you.
great to have you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll see you soon.